The Planning Commission for the City of Marshall, regular meeting of December 10th, 2025 is called to order. Roll call, please.
Chair Banfield. Here. Bright.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Hodo.
Here.
McNiff. Severson.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Zuck.
Here.
Underhill. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is to approve.
Mr. Chair, could I make a motion
Yes.
to excuse Commissioner McNiff?
Yes, you can. Moved, excuse.
And Underhill.
McNiff and Commissioner Underhill. Is there a second? Second support? Hodo? Any comments on that? Hearing none. Those in favor of the excusing, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Thanks, Tim. So the next item is approval of minutes, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November the 12th, 2025, regular Planning Commission meeting.
Motion to approve the November 12th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Moved Hodo, second
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Is it Tim squared, Tim Jr.? And there are a couple of changes, small changes. Please. Yes, please.
Okay, on the motion to approve the SLU for Tigers Towing, we need to change the 2501 to 2502A, and then the 2502 to 2502B. And then the other correction we need is I must have been thinking about Joint Planning Commission when I typed up my meeting minutes, and I put Tuesday instead of Wednesday for the meeting dates. So those are the two corrections we're gonna have.
So we're assuming that Ian did not suggest Tuesdays. He did suggest Mondays, but that was only a suggestion. All right, so the meetings are Wednesdays, second Wednesdays. Okay, that motion will be changed, and the designation for the SLU. Was it site plan or SLU? Was it site plan? SLU. Changed. Any other additions or changes? Hearing and seeing none, those in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of November 12th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same. Motion carries. Next item is to entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight. We have two public comment periods and one reports and recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Hodo, second. Zuck. Any additions or changes to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, those in favor of the motion to approve the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. At this particular period of time, we are open for public comment. Public comment, if you're. See, apparently not public anyway. Move on to item number 6, agenda item number 6, which is the public hearings and subsequent board action. We have none. Old business is 7. We have none. And we move right to reports and recommendations under new business. And I'll entertain a motion to set a public hearing for the capital improvement plan 2026 to 2032 for January 13th?
So moved. Support.
13th or 14th?
13th is JPC, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. It's the 14th.
14th. Yes.
It is the 14th.
Both of us
Is that okay, Jim?
wrong day.
14th?
Apologies.
Okay. And is there support? I'm sorry.
Support, Stewart.
Support Stewart. Did you look at all those? I didn't see any trees on there. I would have opened this to discussion, whatever anybody would like to, that has actually looked at it.
I did look at it, but I didn't see
Yeah.
stump grinding.
I didn't see anything on trees.
Do you want me to give just like a little intro?
No,
No?
no, just kidding, just kidding. Please, Marcia.
So I feel like, I know I put a little bit of an introduction in the packet, but I also know that, we only do this once a year, right? And so the capital improvement plan, program, excuse me, internally we call it capital improvement plan, but it's really capital improvement program. It's a guide for our future improvements in the city. It lays the groundwork to ensure that capital improvements are identified and prioritized. So I don't know if, as you were looking through that plan, if you noticed that there are 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s, kind of on the end of the row. And that helps. Internally, we allocate a number, 1 as being a top priority, in our hopes that as these are being assessed on an annual basis, and you have to cut, items, that they are hopefully maybe the number 4s, right? It's currently being requested that the Planning Commission hold the required public hearing at its January 14th regular meeting. Planning Commission's role is to review the CIP and to make certain that it addresses any priorities included in the master plan for future land use or any capital improvement that will require a site plan. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission can then accept and make a recommendation for council to approve the CIP. And then council goes through its process of approval. If there are items that you guys have, questions about initially tonight, what we're really just asking is to set the public hearing, but it would be great to get any kind of initial concerns, initial feedback that at next month's meeting, we can then come back with, a follow-up, or we can, point to specific items, or, draw attention to things that are in, or I can ask the rest of our staff, if it's in a category that I'm just not aware of, for additional input on those items. So.
If Liaison Underhill was here tonight, he would also note that this is one of the tools that council uses for setting the budget.
Yes, yes.
So comments that we don't normally, the Planning Commission doesn't normally make comments about, the Department of Public Works or electrical or water or sewer, things like that. Maybe sometime parks, but certain things like the cemetery and some of the, those things that they used to blank those out, actually. Anything that was over a 3, we didn't get to see that anyway, because that's normally sent down the road by, 5 to 6 years.
So I would just state that I think there are a lot of things that kind of cross those boundaries, right? So I'm going to use sidewalks as an example, right? Because as part of our planning for the city, right, we're encouraging that connectivity and walkability, right? And the budget for sidewalks is not in parks or planning, right? That's in Marguerite's sidewalk budget, right? So I think there's value for, to get kind of the full picture.
Yeah.
And granted, this might not have, this obviously doesn't have every item, right? If it's less than $25,000, it doesn't go on the CIP. So there are things, right, that are not on here that are kind of, continual items that we pay for. But it's, it gives you a pretty good picture. And if there are things that you don't see on here, or you want to make sure that are being emphasized, that's fine. I can still check on those items too.
One of the things on the airport as an example was the, and then there is an airport authority, of course, but one of the things on the airport was purchase some additional land and for the possibility of some larger planes flying in
To extend the runway.
Detroit. I met, just as a side on that, I met the manager of the new ERA solar project for Marshall Township, and he's the permanent manager, and he lives in Joliet. Excuse me, what's the name of the basketball town in northern part of Indiana, but just south of Gary? Valparaiso. He lives in Valparaiso, and the way he can do this is he has his own plane. And so he uses the airport quite a bit and flies up here in his own plane, and then he's able to, I think he has maybe 2 or 3 other projects that he oversees as well, so. Yeah, he's been able to do that. And he had compliments for our airport, so. But it is limited to a certain size plane, obviously.
That's nice to hear. I know that a lot of people, if you don't use the airport, right, it's difficult to kind of see the benefit of having an airport.
Well, that's only going to increase with the amount of industrial progress that's happening, so. So anyway, I can only share with you what we've done in the past, and that is to review it. Those things that we have no input on, like Public Works and so forth, are those. But like Marcia said, if you have anything to add for parks and roads and streets and so forth. And we've picked up a few things over time, that could be added to or subtracted from. Will you be the representative at the night on the 14th for the city, in case the citizens have questions?
I will be here here.
Yeah, or are you gonna have,
I will be here, kind of, I'm not sure, I guess, I'll kind of ask you guys, like, who would you else like to kind of bring into this? Because I could ask Marguerite, she would be willing to come. I could ask William, from a finance side. He's also a really good asset.
it's who's capable of answering the questions, because
Right.
we don't necessarily, it's a public hearing, and so we don't necessarily have to answer those questions that night. But if that's,
Right, but if there's,
I think Marguerite would be good
for
for a couple of
DPW.
reasons, but, like we brought up sidewalks. We had the JPC meeting last night and talking about what are going to be dead-end sidewalks, or we're gonna need up by Prairie Street.
right,
Those would be good to put in front of her.
I think Justin might be interesting too, given the amount that's in here on Parks and Rec.
so because I am Justin's boss,
Oh, so you can cover that.
I think I can cover that. But if there's, if there's something that does come up, I can, or if you have something specific that you're, want to make sure that I address, I can coordinate with him. Okay. And honestly, if you guys think of anything, before that meeting that you want to reach out to me and kind of give me a heads up, that would be great, just so that I can make sure that,
We used to get a summary of the Parks and Rec, a report from Parks and Rec, once a year. So possibly after the budget's approved or sometime in there, so that we can kind of add it to our tools in the planning.
okay. Do you want,
I mean, that's not something that you can't do, obviously.
no, well, but it would be good to get a summary from the board, right? From that board.
Sure.
So I just will ask them to do that or get that from them.
Yeah. Some night that they don't have to sit here for 3 hours.
I'm new, so as I was looking at this, I was wondering about the process a little bit. And one is, we just came off the master plan review, right? And so forcing some linkage and flagging those items that are in alignment or driving or in support of the master plan, I think that should be in the document versus us kind of looking for it and then saying, oh yeah, that supports the master plan. So we should kind of know what those are. I think we should categorize not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in terms of some level of preference or you know, really obviously importance, but we should categorize them in terms of, I mean, there are probably some that are statutory or safety, you know, or sustaining in some way, that they're kind of non-discretionary. Those should almost be listed as non-discretionary. And then the ones that are discretionary, we can see, and there's a judgment call, you're right, it's kind of do it now or do it later, or if we do this, we save money later versus doing what we've been doing. So those are the kind of things where then the project description or something should be talking about some type of benefit or payback. And then, again, those master plan ones maybe are marked strategic. Like, we don't do it now, but we said we want to do it, and here's the timing to do it. It would make the document a lot more readable and a lot more kind of able to be parsed and commented on, I think, maybe even for the city council.
This has always been a department-led project.
Yeah.
So, in other words, this is them reviewing what their needs are and then putting it out in front of everybody so everybody gets to see it. The reason for the 1s and 2s and 3s also has to do with funding.
For sure.
So, I mean, even though they need it, quite frankly, the fire department usually gets whatever they ask for a reason, obviously. And therefore, our police units do normally
Yeah.
as well. But
Makes a ton of sense.
But then again, you say, well, how can we exist without water and sewer? So then water and sewer gets theirs, and then we go, well, what about electricity? We need that too.
Exactly.
So I think it's a great point you made, but most of this is generated by them saying that this is, to them, this is very important.
Right, and you said that, you opened with that maybe 80% of this is, we're not going to comment on whether the wastewater, right?
Right.
But, if there's 10% of the capital budget that is strategically focused, those are the things that we kind of want to hone in on and understand. And then we should even understand if we're spending nothing in one segment of the master plan, and just to know, right? Just to, otherwise, it's hard to give it some strategic guidance.
Sure.
Like you said, otherwise, we're just kind of going, okay, I mean, makes sense.
And again, if Commissioner Underhill was here, he'd be able to reiterate the fact that it's probably the most difficult part of being a council member, is then looking at that and going, well, there's so much money.
Yeah, yeah.
So who gets what when?
In the corporate world, it was the
Yep.
hardest thing to do as well. And you'd ask your teams,
Yep.
guys, focus, I need you to prioritize it, and, we would have generally, I mean, if you look at, next year, they're asking for, I don't even know what, 1.7, and in year 6, it's 3.5. Right. And so you kind of know what the capital, what the ability to capitalize each year. And, the teams would come in and I'd have a budget of around, let's just say 100 million, and they'd come in with 480.
Right, exactly.
And so what we had to have, to help ourselves, we had to have more categorization beyond priority to make sure that, we weren't neglecting the brakes on the car in order to put the new stereo in it or to put the trailer hitch, because we want to tow a bigger trailer. So anyways, it was just a comment. I don't think we need to make it super complicated.
No,
But maybe focus on the strategic would help us a little bit.
this also gives the citizens a second public hearing, because then the council has their own public hearing after that. Cool.
So, if I may, I'm just trying to think of what I can do before next month. That might be, this might be the next cycle. Well, and so, I mean, I think your comments are spot on as far as and I think that's probably coming more from me. Like, I might have to go back through this and compare it to the kind of master plan. Maybe there's a way to the eye just come through and color code, hey, these are the ones that I think are related to the master planning, but again, that's going to be a little bit subjective, right? So, and then maybe those are the ones that, gives you guys a little more narrowing of the the rails here, right? I can try to take a stab at that just from, you know, maybe it is more of a, maybe this year it's, okay, here's, yes, park stuff, you know, and then I'll look through the other categories and try to pull out like, hey, these are, you know, ones that I think kind of tie more closely to.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I'll
Yeah, I'm not suggesting anything change this cycle, for sure. One other, just, and I'm probably diving too deep here, but, you know, everybody who's building a capital plan has super good intentions. They want to do the right thing for the city, and you're always up against resource limitations. I mean, it's just how it is. But one of the things that I've done in the past is not only to talk about the benefits of spending the money, but what are the risks if you don't? Because a lot of times, maybe there aren't huge incremental benefits to what we think, you know, what we have now, but if we don't do it, the costs later are huge. And so, you know, we would do capital projects based on, I don't know, some net present value improvement, but the truth was, in some of those items that were more statutory or whatever, not or sustaining, if you didn't do it, the negative, the cost of not doing it was incredible, right? So it's kind of being able to say, okay, if we don't do this one, this is the likely impact. If we don't fix the parking lot this year, in 3 years, it'll cost twice as much or something, and helps prioritize a little bit. But I think I'm diving too deep for.
Not really, because one of the reasons that councils they want your input, because we're looking at this in a different set of eyes than just the general public. So they do want that. And they do want comments, either back through Marcia or whatever. Or the reason for the liaison has always been so that, you know, they're able to see and hear what we discuss. So if there's a question about it, one of us doesn't necessarily have to be at the council meetings.
Sounds good.
So
Okay.
have those ready and then either highlighted or ready for the January meeting.
Got a quick question for Marcia. When it comes to things like the strategic plan process, I don't know even what to call it, things within that space, where did those dollars come from?
So I'm, like if the city undertakes a design project or something, is that what you're inferring? So, it depends on, well, I have planning monies, right, allocated, for running the planning department, right? And so if there was an initiative that, you know, that was desired, right? Like say we're like, okay, we've decided that we want to, I don't know, survey some area of town to see like what the possibilities of using it for something else is. You know, maybe there's a zoning, you know, change that we're investigating, or if there's, you know, some other way that we're trying to get sidewalks through, but we need some additional design work in order to see if it's possible, right? That would, well, sidewalks would come out of Marguerite's budget, but, you know, but if there's something like that, that would be purely for planning, I think that would come through the planning department. And just like anything else, you know, I'd have to make a proposal about what that cost is going to be. I'd have to, you know, get an RFP, kind of put the project together, and then that would come out of my current budget, or if it's something that, you know, we didn't see coming, right, we would ask for a budget amendment to accommodate that.
That does, it shows up on the CIP if, like, when the master plan's coming due or any kind of a revision in planning, that comes up on there, so the dollar amounts are shown. It just wouldn't be at 1 if it's gonna be down, you know, 2 years from now. And a 2 and a 3 doesn't mean 2 or 3 years. It just means that that's what the viability is of that happening, you know? And the things that don't end up on there are the ones that happen, as Marcia said, because they have to, and they don't need to share that, with anybody else.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just trying to figure out where the lines were drawn. One of my key areas of interest is the River District. We need to invest dollars in that from a planning process to understand what capital is required to then build it so they will come.
Yeah.
Just trying to get an understanding of, is that truly capital, or is that something different? If it is something different, is it built into a budget? If not, what can we do to help support that it is built into that budget so we can make that investment for what is going to be, I think, a key area of development in town?
When you guys want to touch on last night's comments regarding the Riverwalk?
So the Millbrook project is out on Hughes Street and A Drive. So they have all that old Kelly farm from A Drive all the way to the river. And they're not touching basically the woods or the forest, basically from the river into their development. But they floated the idea yesterday, or they proposed that they are open to letting us have access to that to build it. They've stopped short of saying they would collaborate on building it, but they'll give us the access. They won't oppose any development of the riverfront along that side to continue the Riverwalk. That would put it quite a ways down.
It's a mile, yeah. So that piece of property it's 4 phases, but it's a mile long. So that would be, and then it goes down by the island, a little bit further down. So you could just tell from them last night that they would be willing to work. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interested, because it's an amenity for their,
Yeah. As far as funding, I suspect there's going to have to be some grants involved with a lot of this.
That's if I may, that's exactly what I was going to bring up. So things like going after DNR grants as part of the process. So this past year, the city marshal went after a DNR grant to basically rebuild another section of the existing Riverwalk that's in pretty bad condition. So I was invited to do a presentation for the grant review committee earlier this year. We should find out soon, if we had enough points on our score to receive that grant. But those kind of activities are built, it's the assumption that that's part of my job, right? So going after grants and looking for funding and, trying to initiate design work associated with the projects that, the city wants to do, that's just part of it, right? I think that when you start talking about specific projects, if there is, as we get closer to construction and we have to hire a consultant to do additional design work outside of the department, that's where allocating specific funds for that project happen, if that is at all helpful.
One other thing, Ian, so I've found that the local and smaller entities have their planned, bad language, but then as you're striving towards that plan, this has happened to me a couple of times in my prior life, that we already had some plans for improving infrastructure, body cameras, whatever. A big one was to get accredited, and then all of a sudden, the federal government or the state government, now that they've passed their budget cycle, those grants will become available after we've already established what it is we want. So like what Marcia's saying, we may not know where those monies are coming from right this minute, so.
But you will also notice that on the capital improvement plan, there's a line item or, a column that says other funds or grants, right? And so and especially when you get down to parks, pretty much all the funding is intended to come from grant opportunities. I'm happy to say that, we have hired a parks maintenance supervisor, and we are, we established that position. He's doing wonderfully. I'm hoping that people are starting to see.
Heard less complaining. That's good.
Yes. But I'm hoping people are starting to see that impact. I mean, and, we are starting to also understand what it's going to take to support that position. So, you know, we established this job, right? This position, not knowing exactly what it meant, right? And so now we are to the point, moving into this next year, where we're starting to say, okay, even now, even after I've worked on the CIP, I probably have some immediate needs to invest in that position and get him some additional equipment, and so he can continue to have a strong impact on what he's doing.
Quick meeting, huh?
Sorry to get into the weeds, Commissioner Mayor.
Yeah, it's okay.
I brought that up, I didn't mean to.
It's all right.
Having a 3.5-hour one.
Exactly. It's still pretty short. Any other comments regarding setting the public hearing? The motion is to set the public hearing for the capital improvement plan 2026-2032 for our regular meeting on January 14th.
So moved. Bright.
We already got a motion.
Oh, never mind.
I was just reiterating it.
Sorry.
Any other, if, don't see any other questions, or you're not allowed anyway to have any more questions. Those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, say. Next item is public comment on non-agenda items. Hello, public.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, by the way, so the seats are not totally empty. Board reports, starting your end. I want to just say one thing, if I could. We are so fortunate, and I'm blessed, but we're so fortunate to have a fantastic staff to support us, including Brandy and Marcia. They make credit to quite a team. And we've been dealing with things that not necessarily related to the city of Marshall planning, but planning. And I feel wonderful that we have you guys to help us, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Tim. I really appreciate it. I have no further comments. See you guys in January.
Other than Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you in January.
Yep, Marcia,
Yeah, I don't have any further comments. Thank you.
what's January look like? Anything other than the public hearing? Possibilities?
At this time, well, okay.
There's no public, by the way, so, oh, they're watching, yeah.
There's a little trepidation with that.
So I don't know. I got contacted by Consumers Credit Union. And I have discussed with legal whether or what next steps should be. And so I don't know if they will be coming back. They would be coming back in January if legal says that's the way we should go.
And the reason that they'd be coming back?
They're having some difficulties getting an agreement between Sprinkles and Consumers for shared use of a drive. I know that, I think everyone is aware that was back here one time after initial approval. And, I think it's a difficult situation, but I'm kind of waiting to see what legal is telling us, if that's something that Planning Commission can really resolve, because it seems to kind of be a legal issue between the two entities. But again, I'm not a lawyer, so.
The only thing that they would bring back is an amended site plan again.
It would be an amended site plan.
And we do have the opportunity to look at amended site plans, so that's why it would be back before us.
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't have anything, no, I don't have anything that is coming in the pipeline in the near future.
Aaron? Carter? I'll save a couple things to the end. Tim?
No report, thank you.
Ian? New guy?
New guy. Town looks great. Love the holiday decorations. Nothing else. Thank you.
Seldom new guy, but sure glad to see you, Jim.
Good to see you as well. I don't have a report, but hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas holiday.
Thank you. Thank you. Two quick things. I'm not going to be here in February, in March, and Tim's not going to be here in February, possibly. So we're going to need to step up the month of February unless you don't have a meeting, which, you know, that's always a chance. So you might not need a meeting in February.
Is there anyone else that, I mean, if these two were gone, is there anyone else that would be, I guess, let me know.
This will be a totally on a volunteer thing, so just keep that in mind, and we've got a couple of months to think about it. But that's a month that Tim and I aren't going to be here, so the seat's going to is going to need to be filled if you need it.
And I don't, like I said, I don't currently have, you know, something, I would expect that if consumers is coming back, I would get that on the agenda for next month. And hopefully, you know, that could be resolved, but I don't have, like I said, I don't have anything immediate in the pipeline.
Okay. And then the second thing is the JPC. Carter is our alternate. Okay, so for January, or for February, we'll need you for February if they have a meeting. And we're not allowed to have an alternate to the alternate, according to Brandy. She did look that up. So that'll just mean that they won't, you know, they won't have six people. So it's not an emergency.
It'd be
Quorum is 4, yeah. So it's not an emergency, but that's one night for sure. And then, of course, in February, both of us will be gone. So February JPC meeting, if there is one that you need to step up for that. Okay. All right. Anybody can volunteer to be an alternate to the JPC, by the way. However, it's the chairman who is the one that assigns the alternate. All right. And actually, members of the JPC are picked by the chair, or, you know, with recommendations as well. So, all right, enough said. Merry Christmas. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
And seconded. Moved and supported. Those in favor say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Meeting over.